Okay, fine. Let me add him. Okay, now for sands oblique granular soil, we sometimes use correlation curve based on field data to find out the value of NQ and N gamma. One such correlation is correlation with SPT data, is as shown below. Right now, you can easily see from this graph. That day also I was telling you about this SPT value. So bearing capacity expressions are also correlated with the N values. So this figure will automatically tell you the corrected value of N, that is SPT value that we are using. So you can see that NQ and N gamma and a phi value on x-axis, phi value on x-axis, and on y-axis it is NQ and N gamma. And on the y-axis also you can see like the corrected value of N, that is SPT test you can see. And now what we can do basically from this chart, with the help of this chart, for a particular value of N, we can simply take the NQ, N gamma, and NQ and N gamma, and we can use these values in Tarzagi bearing capacity equation to get the ultimate bearing capacity. Now, SPT test is carried out in 4 or 5 boreholes at the site of structure construction, right? So, what we have to do, we have to make a bore inside the ground, and then we have to carry out the SPT test. The test data used in the above curve is corresponding to the minimum average and value obtained in various boreholes, right? So whatever test data we are using in this curve, basically that is the minimum of average and the values that we'll be obtaining in the various borehole. So what we will be doing, we will conduct SPT test in various boreholes, and then we will take the average of those values. And when I'm saying average of those values, basically we have to consider the minimum average and minimum average only, right? So this is not the minimum average. What we will be doing, we'll take the 5 boreholes, we'll take 5 boreholes, and we'll conduct SPT test in that. And once the SPT test has been done, we will take the average of that SPT data. The average value of N in any borehole is the average of N values for the depth from DF to DF plus 1.5 B to 2B. So what we have to do, we have to consider the depth of foundation part, means where your foundation will be laid, and uh, another depth you have to consider, df is equal to df plus 1.5 b to 2.2 b, means in this range you will do the SPT value, and then you will conduct the average value, then you will take the average value of this. While using this curve, we don't have to bother with wherever the failure is local shear failure or general shear failure, right? So in this figure, as you can see, there is no as such a systematic pattern that is given for the type of failure. So you need not to consider or not to worry about the type of failure for using this plot or using this graph. Now, however, while using Tarzagi equation, we will have to establish whether general or local shear failure occur. So once you are using the Tarzagi equation, then in that case you have to focus more on the general or local shear failure. In a Peck-Hansen curve, the value of NQ and N gamma incorporate the effect due to local oblique general shear failure, right? So while you will be using this Peck-Hansen curve, and in order to use these NQ and N gamma value, you have to incorporate the effect that is due to the local or general shear failure. Now, in case when you are having local shear failure, so you have to use the modified value of cohesion and angle of internal friction. So modified value of cohesion will be 2 by third of the cohesion that we are using, and for the modified value of angle of internal friction designated by tan phi m, and that is equal to 2 by third of tan phi. Now, the net ultimate bearing capacity expression is written in this way, that is 2 by 3 CNC dash plus Q bracket NQ dash minus 1 plus half gamma B and gamma dash. Now, we already know that for the friction value greater than 36 degree, general shear failure is assumed, right? So we all are aware of this fact. Once when we have the angle of internal friction value greater than 36, we have the general shear failure. For the angle of internal friction less than 29 degree, we have local shear failure, and in between this we have the Punching shear failure. For in between value, the F, NC, NQ, and N gamma can be obtained by interpolating between the corresponding to general and local shear failure. Now, however, in exam, we do not consider local or general shear failure. Rather than NC, NQ, and N gamma values given for any phi should be adopted such that under any assumption that they have been recommended. See, as a general practice, what we are following, we will be having the angle of internal friction value phi, and we will use NC, NQ, and N gamma as per the phi value given in question. Most of the time, you need not to worry about NC, NQ, and N gamma, as I have discussed in yesterday lecture, that there are several formulas given for obtaining this NC, NQ, and N gamma. So what you have to do means in the question itself, it will be provided like NC value is this, NQ is this, and N gamma is this for this particular value of phi. Most of the time in question paper, what they will give you a Tarzagi chart at the end in the form of appendix, where you can see the tabular, where you can see the plots, and you can find out the NC, NQ, and N gamma values. Now, this is the first example problem from this ultimate bearing capacity. Is it possible for you to do these example problem on your own, or shall I go through this example problem? Hello, let me know. Yes, Rohan. So, where were you yesterday? You have not joined class. मार्केट में थे आप जी ठीक हो गया so let me know whether you need to have this example problem or this one is formula based only where see you need to find the ultimate bearing capacity and then you have to find out the net ultimate that I have told you that you have to subtract gamma df from this ultimate bearing capacity. Net safe bearing capacity is when you divide the factor of safety, means when you divide a QNU with factor of safety, you will get Q net safe. And in order to find out the safe bearing capacity, you have to simply add this gamma DF term. Class, please make a note of this. This example problem one, I can assure you that if a problem from Tarzagi bearing capacity comes in gate paper, you will find that this question example problem one will be there in your gate. Values may be different, but the concept will be same only. See, the concept is when we are calculating the ultimate bearing capacity, we must know the formula of Tarzagi bearing capacity. If they are saying that it is a strip footing, then you can use directly this formula. But if they are saying it is like a square footing is there, so you have to use those modified terms for this cohesion and angle of internal means for the cohesion and gamma term, the modifications like that we have learned now for the square footing it is 1.3 cnc plus q nq plus zero point 0.4 gamma b n gamma for the ultimate bearing capacity, only for the computation of ultimate bearing capacity. If they are saying for a 2 meter wide rectangular footing is there, so you have to use the relative terms that we have learned now, right? Now, once you have obtained this ultimate bearing capacity, then it is very easy for you to find out the net ultimate. Everything is given in the question, and you have to subtract gamma d, and then you will obtain this qnu. In the similar way, you will have the other values also. So moving on to the example problem to see, I'll be giving you an overview only of the example problem. It's a request, kindly go through these example problems and complete on your own. And if you face any difficulty in solving any problem, then please bring it to my notice. Now, example problem 2, this is says determine the safe load that can be carried by the square footing of 2.2 meter by 2.2 meter size placed at a depth of 1.6 meter below ground level. The foundation soil has the following properties. So they are giving you the properties of foundation soil, and now factor of safety is also given 2.5, and they are saying for this angle of intersection NC, NQ, and gamma value is also provided. That's why I was telling you in the beginning, most of the time you will have this NC, NQ, and gamma values directly given in the question, so need not to worry about it. And why they have used this NC dash, NQ dash, and N gamma dash? This is for the local shear failure. So whenever you are having local shear parameters, means whenever there is a in question, it is given like a local shear failure is there for the particular kind of sand or a particular kind of soil. So you have to use NC dash, NQ dash, and N gamma dash. Now, now the low value of unit weight suggests that the soil is in loose state. Now you can also judge the type of failure by judging the gamma, that is unit weight. Now they are saying that the unit weight is lower. That's why they are considering it as on the That's why they are considering it as a this local shear failure case. And moreover, they are saying that you can judge from this also. Like they are saying that angle of internal friction value is lesser than 29 degree. So it is lesser than 29 degree means lesser than 29 degree means it is a local shear failure case. Now we know the local shear failure. We can write the expression in this way: Q net ultimate is equal to 1.3 C dash NC dash plus gamma DF into NQ dash minus 1 plus zero point 0.4 gamma B and gamma dash. Now C dash, I have told you in the beginning that you can replace C dash with a 2 by 3 times of cohesion. Cohesion is given in question, and on putting the values in the above expression, you will obtain net ultimate in this way. Now, in order to find out the safe bearing capacity, we have this net safe. Net safe is net ultimate divided by factor of safety. And once you plus gamma df, once you do plus gamma df in the net safe, you will get the safe bearing capacity. So the safe bearing capacity is like this. Now, if somebody asks you, okay, tell me what will be the gross safe load that can be, that can be there on the footing. So what you will be doing, that is the safe bearing capacity that you have been obtained. So QS multiply by the area, that will basically give you the gross safe load. Now this is the example problem 3. It says a concrete steel footing rectangular in cross section is located at ground level and extends 1.2 meter below the ground level. It carries a uniformly distributed load of 15,000 kg per meter. The soil profile consists of an homogeneous clay 6 meter thick overlaying rock. Now the clay properties are as under. So saturated unit bulk weight is given. Shear strength in undrained state is also given. Compressibility is given. Now what you have to determine? You have to determine the width of footing. They have provided you the factor of safety of 2. Ultimate consolidation settlement provided you a factor of safety is equal to 2, and you have to assume the bulk unit weight of concrete as 25,000 kg per meter cube, and you have to neglect the spread of load beneath the footing on any side cohesion on the foundation. Now you can easily see that what they are asking in your question, that footing has been laid on the ground, right, at a depth of 1.2 meter below the ground, and a clay layer is all and founded on a clay layer that is in that is of the depth of 6 meter from the ground level to the underlying rock mass. And so what they are doing now, we have to obtain several things that has been asked in question. Now, for the strip footing on a clay soil, we know for the clay soil, we have the angle of internal friction is equal to 0. So what we'll do, for phi is equal to 0, once you look at the Tarzagi chart, you will find that NC, NQ and N gamma values as NC is equal to 5.7, NQ is equal to 1 and N gamma is equal to 0. So you can obtain this ultimate bearing capacity from Tarzagi like CNC plus QNQ plus half gamma b n gamma. So half gamma b n gamma is 0, so that gamma term will be equal to 0. So you will only have CNC plus Q. Q refers to gamma df. So gamma df into NQ. Now QU will be 5.7C. So on putting all those values from the above, whatever is given for phi is equal to 0, you will have this ultimate bearing capacity as 5.7C plus gamma df. Now net ultimate will be ultimate minus gamma df. So net ultimate will be 5.7C. Now factor of safety is given and untrained cohesion is also given. So you can easily take these values from the question that is provided to you. So now the unit weight of concrete, we all know this is 25,000 kg per meter cube. Depth of footing is given 1.2. Now we can consider it as a UDL of 15,000 kg per meter cube per meter. It is provided in question also. That is what it is written. It, see, you can see from this, it carries UDL of 15,000 kg per meter, right? So we have to consider the this distributed load of 15,000 kg per meter. Now you can see a UDL is given like 15,000 kg per meter. Now self weight of footing, how you will obtain the self weight of footing? 1.2 times means 1.2 is the depth of footing at which it is laid, multiply by width, that is the area of the footing, right? Multiply by 1. Why they have done multiply by 1? They are considering the unit length, right? Since it is a strip footing, multiply it with the you multiply it with the unit weight of concrete, that is 2500. So once you do 2500 this is not 25,000, this is 2500. So 2500 multiplied by 1.2, that will give you some. Is it 25,000 or 2500? Please check this unit weight of concrete. So multiply it with that. Well, 2500. So multiply it with that value, you will get 3000 b kg per meter. That will be the self weight of footing. Now total load will be what? Total load will be whatever distributed load that is there on footing and the self weight of that footing. That will be the total load. Now this total load of footing will should be equal to the safe bearing capacity of soil. Then only we will say our footing is stable. Now what they have done, they have now we know the total load, right? So total load divided by, why they have done total load divided by b into 1. This is the safe bearing pressure, right? So in safe bearing pressure is what? The safe load divided by the area of footing. So area of footing will be what? Width multiplied by the unit length. So 1500 plus 3000 we divide by b into 1 is equal to, this is qs. Qs is equal to q net ultimate divided by factor of safety plus gamma d f. Now what we will be doing in this net ultimate, we know net ultimate value is what? Net ultimate is 5.7 c, it is shown. So 5.7 into c, cohesion value we know 800, 8500, somewhere it was written here. So you can see shear strength in undrained state, right? That is 8500 kg per meter square, it is given. So what we'll do, we'll multiply this c and c. Right, C is 8500 and C is 5.7. Factor of safety is provided in question 2. So plus gamma unit weight is given 1750. Somewhere I have seen. Okay, this is saturated unit bulk weight 1750. So 1750 into gamma DF. DF is 1.2. That is founded at a depth of 1.2 meter below the ground surface. So you will do this net ultimate divided by factor of safety. Multiply it with the width. Right. So you will get this safe value. Right. And you can easily see this net ultimate. Okay, that is net ultimate by factor. Okay, so once you do all these things, you will obtain this b value as 0.64, right? Now you will be asking me, sir, why they have not considered this gamma df. Might be you will be asking, no one is asking. That is the beauty of this class. All right, now I have to look after this. We have obtained this as a total load. Okay, total load divided by area, that will give us the ultimate. Okay, ultimate. Okay, okay, okay. Who will tell me this? Why they have not taken plus gamma df? They have taken gamma df inside the bracket. They have taken gamma df and then multiply it with the width. Okay, fine. So width is 0.64 meter. Are you able to hear me? Hello. Okay, so they have done plus gamma df inside the bracket. You can easily see. I was confused by this gamma df where it is there. Now initial overburden pressure at the level. Now what second question? First problem I think it is over. That is the width of footing you have to obtain. That is the B value. We have obtained the B as 0.64 meter. So width of footing is 0.64 meter that we have obtained. Now they are asking you the ultimate consolidation settlement. Right. So for ultimate consolidation settlement, we know from our earlier classes what we have to do. We have to take the center point below the base of footing. So below the base of footing, we can see that the distance is 4.8 meter. So for 4.8 meter, half of 4.8 meter will be 2.4 meter. So the mid section of the clay layer below the footing base and will be 2.4 meter. Now now, what we'll do for finding out the settlement, we'll have to find out the effective stress at that particular level, or we can call it as an initial overburden pressure at the level of XX. So, initial overburden pressure will be how much? Initial overburden pressure will be 2.4 plus 1.2. That is the depth. So 2.4 plus 1.2 is 3.6. So 3.6, multiply it with the gamma you have to do. And which gamma you have to take? This is gamma saturated you have to take. So saturated gamma bulk unit weight, it is given 1750. So 1750 multiply it with the 3.6. So that will give you 6300 kg per meter cube. This is the initial overburden pressure at the level X6. Now you have to find out the final effective overburden pressure at X6. So final effective overburden pressure at level of X6 can be obtained like this. So how they have obtained? So 1.2 multiply with 2500. So 1.2 multiply it with the bulk unit weight, that is the self weight of the concrete they have done, right? And then 2.4 multiply it with 1750, that is the saturated unit weight they have done, plus 15,000 divided by 0.64. So what was 15,000? What was 15,000? 15,000 was the UDL weight, right? So what they have done, UDL divided by the area they have done, so that represents the surcharge term. Okay, so you can see 15,000 divided by the width of that footing. It is given in your question that surcharge of 15,000 kg per meter is applied above the base of footing. So 15,000 divided by 0.64, that will give you the total load that is coming at the means that is coming at the level of XX, that is the final effective overburden pressure. So once you do all the sum of all these forces, you will get like 30637.5 kg per meter cube, right? Now what will be the change in effective overburden pressure? You can easily obtain by summing by the difference of sigma 2 minus sigma 1. So it will give you this change in effective overburden pressure value as 24337.5. Now we know this formula from consolidation theory. In order to find out the ultimate consolidation settlement, we have this formula delta H is equal to mv H naught delta sigma bar. So mv, this is the coefficient of volume compressibility that is given in question. Given or not given mv? Okay, it is given 1 8 to 10 ki power minus 4 divided by 100. That value is given. So what we'll do in the way it has been provided in question, 1 into 10 power minus 4 upon 100 multiply by h naught. H naught is what? 4.8 they have considered. So 4.8 is what? That is the total height of the clay layer below the base of footing. That is the total thickness, that is 4.8 meter, of which half has been done. Multiply it with the delta sigma, that will give you the change in height or the change in the consolidation settlement. I hope this numerical problem is clear to all. This example problem 3, and this covers your basically the settlement part, covers your the ultimate bearing capacity computation part also. Is it clear? Hello. Okay. Now I request students to kindly go through the example problem 4, right? Example 5, example 6, example 7, and example 8. Okay, so all these example problems you have to do on your own. I have covered till third example, you have to cover from fourth to eighth, right? And tomorrow I'll ask each and every student about these example problem. So kindly prepare notes whatever we have learned so far, and do these numerical problems on this particular screen. I will check each and everybody copy whether they have done or not, right? And the students those who are not following my guidelines, they will, they will not get good marks in the semester. Kindly consider this as a serious note. Okay, now the next topic is modification of Tarzagi equation for the location of water table, right? So till now what we have seen, there is a ground surface, and below ground surface we have the footing, and we have the load above the base of footing, and we have obtained the ultimate bearing capacity equation. Now we have not seen, see, we have seen one more modification where we have considered different type of footing apart from this history footing, and we have seen the ultimate bearing capacity equation for square, circular, and rectangular kind of footings. Now this is basically the modification in Tarzagi bearing capacity equation when we have the water table also. So how how will modify the Tarzagi equation when we have the water table? Now you can see in the figure, let me zoom this figure. This is a column. Above the column you have the load P, and above below column you have the footing, right? That is having width B, and you can see this footing is founded at a depth df, and there are various cases shown in this case. So first case is when you have the water table located at position 3, and this position is basically this location of water table is founded at a depth greater than df plus b, right? Second case is when you have the position of groundwater table that is greater than the depth of footing. Third case is when you have the water table within the depth of foundation. So we have three cases. Now we'll study each case one by one. Now what they are saying, soil in the zone from depth df to df plus b is affected by shear failure. Now you can see the soil that is there between the depth of foundation df and df plus b. So within this region, that is case 2, the soil will be affected by the shear failure. So there will be shear failure of soil in case 2. Now for the drained condition, testing effective stress approach is used, right? Now see, for the undrained condition we are using total stress parameter, and for the drained case we have to use effective stress parameter. So if you have read this shear strength chapter from your soil mechanics, in that if you have gone through the effective stress theory in detail, so there they were telling when we have the water present inside the soil and the water is not drained, that is the undrained state. So in undrained state we have to use total strength parameters, and once the water has expelled out or expelled from the soil, or it is in a drained state, in that case you have to use effective strength parameter, right? So in this case also, the case 2 that they are telling, so it is quite obvious, since this soil is lying below the footing base, it will be it will be affected by the shear. Now for the drained condition, as I told you now only, that the effective stress approach will be used. Now for the first case, they are saying when your water table is below depth df plus b, so your net ultimate bearing capacity expression will not be modified. It will be as it is that we have learned. That is CNC plus gamma df nq minus 1 plus half gamma b n gamma. Now the second case, when we have the water table in between df to df plus b. So in this case, which term will be modified? The third term will be modified, that is gamma. Why third term will be modified? Because the unit weight of the soil will be totally submerged under the water. That's why this term will be modified accordingly. Now how it will modify? This is the question. So you have to replace this term gamma b term, that is gamma into b term, with half x into gamma t plus b minus x gamma submerged ny, right? So what is this x? So this x is basically the location of water table below the footing base. So you can easily see from this figure, x is been depicted in the figure in case of 2, and you can see this x is located at a distance of x, that is below the footing base, and b minus x is the position below the water table. Okay, so you have to modify the expression accordingly. Now the third case is when your water table is in zone from depth 0 to df. So when your water table is in this zone, so the modification will be there in the surcharge term. You can easily see from this figure. So what kind of modification you will have? You will have modification in the surcharge term, that is above means the soil that is lying above the footing base. Okay, so the modification will be in this way. So Q net ultimate will be C into NC plus gamma T into Y. What is this Y? Y is the depth from the ground surface, right, to the point where, to the location of the groundwater table. And df minus y is the location of water table to the footing base. So you have to and this term will be multiplied with the gamma submerged, because unit weight is submerged state. But in the first but in the first you will see this is gamma t into y. This gamma t is the bulk unit weight only because that is not submerged till depth y. Multiply it with nq minus 1 plus half gamma b into n gamma. That will give you the modification in the second term in the Terzaghi bearing capacity equation. Now they are saying for a soil having C is equal to 0 means you don't have cohesion in this case. Gamma saturated in gamma water is given. Rise of water table from depth greater than df plus b to ground level reduce the net bearing capacity of the soil, right, to half of the value corresponding to water table at greater depth. So class, please make a note of this point. This has been asked in gate, for most of the time they are asking this question, the fluctuation of water table, right? So I have told you, means in the different term how the water table modifications is done for the various cases explained. And now most of the time they will ask you this question, that whenever means they will ask you question in this way, that suppose there is a groundwater table at a location df plus b, means at a depth greater than df plus b, and means what will happen if this water table will rise to the surface. So the answer will be that the bearing capacity will be half of whatever we have, right? Now now this is the another way of accounting for the effect of water table. What they are doing, they have this expression for the net ultimate. We all are familiar with this expression, that is cnc plus gamma df nq minus 1 into rw plus half gamma b n gamma into rw dash. So this rw corresponds to the modification in surcharge term, rw dash corresponds to the modification in unit this gamma term. So this I'll suggest you to kindly follow this method, because this method is quite simpler compared to whatever we have discussed so far. So what they are doing for RW, they are simply putting RW as 0.5 1 plus dW by dF, right? So how you will use this dW, means how you will use this RW, you have to see this condition, that the depth of water to the width of foundation, if it is lying between 0 to 1, you have to use this. And when okay, and then you have the another rw dash that is showing in the unit weight on the third part in the net ultimate bearing capacity. So that is 0.51 plus dw dash by b, and when 0, so this is the condition for this case. So when I'm saying this condition, means this dw dash by b can vary from 0 to 1, but it will not be equal to 0, will not be equal to 1. It will be always greater than 0 and always less than 1. And in the above case, this dw by df, or this will not be dw by df, this will be dw by b only. This will be dw by b only, and this dw by b is always greater than 0 and will be equal to or less than 1. Now we can see
पढ़ाना तो मैं कुछ कह थोड़ी रही हूँ।
यहाँ के क्यों बैठ गई?
ये हाथे दे एक बार एक सेकंड।
ये काम ज्यादा जरूरी है तेरा? हेलो, hello. Yeah, sorry to interrupt in between. Okay. So we have a foundation, and now you can see from this figure, we have a foundation, and this foundation is having width B, and we can see the dW is shown, like the water table is located at a depth dW, and in another case they are showing in the same figure that the water table is located at dw dash, right? Now whatever I have discussed so far, that is the another modification, another way of modification in the water table, modification in the bearing capacity due to water table. You can see from this figure, they have shown you rw and rw dash on y-axis, and dw by df and dw dash by b on x-axis. So this is 0.5 to 1, and on y-axis it is 0.5 to 1. So a straight line is shown. So what it signifies? It signifies that the variation, whatever we are talking about, that will always be varying from 0 to 1, right? You can see from this figure also. Now, so when water table is at the ground surface, in case of cohesive and frictional soil, effective parameters shall be used in the first term, and correction factor should be applied in the second and third term of bearing capacity equation. So class, please note this point, please mark it as an important point, I'll say, right? So whenever you have the water table that is present at the ground surface, and your soil will be cohesive and frictional soil, you have to use the effective parameter. Why I am saying effective parameter? Because uh, because there is water table, and the correction factor that you have to apply it in the second and third term, not in the first term. But we can observe that in case of granular soil, when water table is at the ground surface, bearing capacity become half, right? So for the granular soil, whenever water table is at the surface, your bearing capacity equation will reduce to half its value. Now these are the example problems when you have the water table, right? So let me explain you the first problem, and then the rest problem I'll request you all to do on your own. So RCC column footing of 1.8 meter by 1.8 meter size is founded at 1.5 meter below ground level. The subsoil consists of a loose deposit of silty sand having the following properties. So in question it is stated, it is in question it has been said that size of footing is given and the location of found means location of footing is also given. Now the soil properties is also provided to you, like gamma 5C and gamma saturated is provided to you. Now they are asking you what will be the ultimate bearing capacity of footing when your groundwater table is located at the surface. Second point is 0.6 meter below the ground surface. Then third is 2 meter below the base of footing, and fourth is 4 meter below the base of footing. Now what you have to do in a general practice, what we are following, that whenever we have the phi value, we have to check the phi value. Since we are looking at the phi value, we can easily observe that this value is lesser than 29 degrees, so we can directly say it is a local shear failure case. Now, if it is a local shear failure case, now you can easily see from your textbook that for the value of phi, we have NC, NQ, and N gamma, and correspondingly, we have the NC dash, NQ dash, and N gamma values also. So for general shear failure case, we have to use those NC, NQ, and N gamma, and for local shear failure case, we have to use NC dash, NQ dash, and N gamma dash. Now, since it is a loose, since it is a loose deposit of silty sand, and we have this phi value lesser than 29 degree, so we'll consider it as a local shear failure case. So we can write the ultimate bearing capacity equation incorporating those NC dash, NQ dash, and gamma dash into the expression, and this is the C dash they are saying 2 by 3C. Why they are saying 2 by 3C? Because it is a local shear failure case. Now they have used those terms. QU is equal to 1.3 into C dash, that is 0.73, into NC dash, NC dash is 11.8 they are using, plus Q NQ dash plus half gamma B N gamma. So you will obtain the expression in terms of Q and gamma B with respect to the ultimate bearing capacity. Now first question is, when your water table is located at ground level. So what will happen when your water table is located at ground level? Simply you will put the surcharge term as gamma submerged multiplied by the depth of footing. So so Q ultimate will be written in this way: 11.198 plus 3 point, that is the rewriting the equation to 3.8 into Q as gamma submerged. Gamma submerged means what? Gamma submerged is gamma saturated minus gamma water. So gamma saturated is given in your question, that is 2 ton per meter cube. It is provided gamma saturated as 2 ton per meter cube. So 2 minus 1 will give you gamma submerged, multiply by the depth of footing, that is 1.5 meter is given, right? And plus 0.52 into B is given in question, that is 1.8. Then gamma you can do as gamma submerged, that is 2 minus 1. So the ultimate bearing capacity of the soil will be 17.82 ton per meter square. Now another question they are asking you is, when your water table is 0.6 meter below ground level. So 0.6 meter means it is the case when your water table is located in a region below the below the ground surface and above the footing base. Okay, so this is the case one basically, the case one that we have seen above. Now this Q ultimate will be how this term will be modified. We can easily see from they have done the modification also, that is x time gamma t plus uh, b minus x into gamma submerged. That is what we have seen the modification in the above. Like we can easily see the case 1 also. Let me go through case 1 what they have done. uh, this is the case, okay, this is the case 3 basically, not case 1. Case 3 what they have done, gamma t into y plus df minus 1 into gamma submerged. So df minus y, so what they have done, okay, so zero point 0.6 meter below the, zero point 0.6 meter below the ground level. So y will be zero point 0.6 meter. It is quite obvious y will be 6 meter. So y into gamma t, that is zero point 0.6 into gamma t plus that is another will be 1.5 minus zero point 0.6, that will be zero point 0.9. That is zero point 0.9 into gamma submerged. That is what it is written. Plus 0.52 into gamma into b submerged. That whatever was there in the expression, this was the expression. We have simply write 0.52 into b gamma. We have only modified the surcharge term because surcharge term will only be modified. Now, once you have modified the surcharge term and rewriting the ultimate bearing capacity equation, you will find the ultimate bearing capacity as 19.54. Now, another part is when your water table is 2 meter below the base of footing. Now, they are saying below the footing base, it is 2 meter. Okay. And I don't know whether they have depicted this as a correct problem, because in problem they are saying below the base of footing, it is 2 meter. But in figure they are plotting this 2 meter as below the ground surface. So if we consider below the ground surface only, so it is zero point 0.5 meter from the footing base. Now there will be modification in the third part, that is gamma term, right? So how the way they are doing modification, that is uh, the depth below the footing base till the position of groundwater table, that is zero point 0.5 multiplied by gamma t plus the remaining depth, that is 1.8 minus zero point 0.5 into gamma submerged, because that part is only submerged under water, the rest is the bulk unit weight. So once you do this, you will find this qu as 22.304. Now fourth part is when they are asking when your groundwater table is 4 meter below the base of footing. Since it is at a higher depth, so we will not be requiring any correction due to groundwater table. So you can easily rewrite the expression that we have obtained earlier, that is 11.198 plus 3.8 into gamma t into df plus 0.52 into b gamma t. So you will obtain this qu as this, right? To be more specific, let me tell you one more thing. Whenever you have the water table location greater than df plus width, so there will no be, then there will be no modification in groundwater table. So you can see the depth of foundation as 1.5 meter is given, right? And the width of the foundation is also provided to you somewhere. I have seen, okay, 1.8. So 1.5 plus 1.8 is 1.5 plus 1.5 is 3 and 3.2 or 3.3, right? So 3.3 meter means beyond 3.3 meter you will not find any modification in the bearing capacity. So they are asking you when your water table is at 4 meter, that is greater than 3.3, so there will be no modification in the surcharge as well as on the unit weight. That's why they have rewritten